name is Christic, and welcome to Tiny Bunny. Now, this game actually has a ton of, if you look it up on Steam, there's, nothing but overwhelming positive reviews. And it came out this year. Okay, well, regardless, this is a visual novel that actually remembers your choices, so it's non-linear, which is awesome. Also, it is Christmas, so Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate, happy that. I decided on this one because it looks like it takes place in the woods, winter scene-ish, and what a better time to play this game than to have a nightmare before Christmas. So without further ado, let's play Tiny Bunny. Just gonna put my mic a little bit closer there. Let's do this. Oh, I'm so excited for this. I mean, I don't think I've ever done another visual. Oh, the wind clawed at my window all night long. An endless song weaved from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, sneering, twined in the air. They were shouting and laughing and arguing about something. Someone was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Our house had a mind of its own. The creaky old mind of a building that had seen a lot in its days and was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with the inhabitants. The lonely house faced the forest, and the dark green thicket gazed back with its hollow eyes, rustling, whizzing, swaying back and forth. One could come out and stand at the edge of the forest to reassure themselves there was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. It's just a play of the light, a shadow. Just a play. I knew it was just my imagination. I was already 12 after all. Still. Ooh, foxhead in the ice thing. Ooh, that was cool. That was really cool. Hey, put away your book. How many times have I told you not to read at the table? It's bad for your health. Look at how slouched you are. Okay. Oh. Okay, so, was that a choice? Why is that a choice? Okay, sure. I didn't protest and put the book about Conan the Barbarian aside. I was stuck on a line I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyway. She's just mowing down on her breakfast, ain't she? Olia had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic, she almost looked like your typical girl from commercials. You're not going anywhere until you finish all of it. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes, as if it would make the porridge disappear. Hazy anxiousness welled up inside, all because of the previous sleepless night, the black forest around our house, and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder the lumpy white substance became. It looked like a jellyfish from the Kostyu Odyssey. I love that show. Kostyo, sure. I wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is. Oh, kid, it's there's things that could blink you to death there. You would not like it. Don't. Or how cold the black forest is at night. and you lost feeling in your hand, and the spoon fell. The spoon fell out of my hand. Mom showered me with the cold glare from her green eyes. What did I say? I'll get it. I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge once again. Felt around for the spoon. What is this, carved on the other side of the table? Karina. Huh. That's my mom's name. I guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. She sure was a rascal, damaging the furniture like that. She would scold me for a week if I did something similar, though. Should I remind her about it? No, she's been in a bit of a bad mood lately. Yeah, you don't want to do that. No. I imagined her being my age, sitting under this table. I wonder, was Mom afraid of the dark back then? Did the music just stop? I think the music just stopped. Wonderful. Great. Were the sounds coming from the attic? Or the thick forest? I imagined my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting at the edge of her bed, where Olya sleeps nowadays, and saying this in her soft, smooth voice. Taiga is a special place, little girl. It's watching you closely, sniffing you out, trying to discern what kind of beast you are. If you're a good sort, it won't abandon you in times of trouble. But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you under the ground. Holy shit. That's a fucking hell of a bedtime story. And that would be it. Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore, only threatened that a dark entity would drag you off and throw you in the dirt. Those were the times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashed dishes and mutual accusations. Our parents used to love each other back then. I remember listening in on one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma getting prepared for her funeral. She had already bought a casket. She called it her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet, patiently. Why would you keep that in a closet? That is something that you should not keep in a closet. It was black, unupholstered with meat. Upholstered with meat-colored material on the inside. So it was like red and black. It's interesting, I guess. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. The house didn't change. Okay, bye. Since the time she was alive. Only all of the photos were gone. Glass covered pictures with gray faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from under the table. Olya was done with her cookies and was looking at my share like a sly woodland creature. I turned my gaze toward the frosted window. There were a lot of dark pines outside, but they didn't grab my attention. The pattern of the frost formed a picture on the glass. And there he is right there, the fox. Olya, look! It's a fox! Where? It looked almost like those optical illusion thingies they put on the back of student notebooks. Oh, I remember those. You kind of like, when you try and see them. A mixture of lines at first glance. But if you blur your vision a little bit and look under a certain angle, not outside, on the window. Look, here's the nose, and here's Hey, eat up. Yes, just a moment. Ooh. Whoo! Okay, so he's supposed to be 12. What 12-year-old can get away with that? None. Unless you're an asshole. No other 12-year-old can get away with that. I don't see anything. Hurry up, there's not much left. Ah, there it is. But it still doesn't look like one. And I'm telling you, it does. Nuh-uh. It does. Stop it. These kids, I swear. Now I couldn't see the fox either. It disappeared. Went away. Only the frost patterns, similar to stretched out nettle leaves, kept creeping up the glass. Oh, Papa! Oh, okay, barely. I am the father. My dad entered the kitchen with long, measured steps. That's actually kind of funny how it kind of fits. I want to have a beard like his when I grow up. Mom would always ask jokingly, come on, shave it off. It stings. This was so long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were an everyday occurrence. Olia always covers her ears when she hears something like, what's the point in all this? Through the wall. Yeah, I mean, it's all for your sake, Dad would reply, for the sake of our family. I always caught every sound in fear of hearing the most dreaded, the deadliest word that started with a D. Devo. I don't even want to finish it. It was scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart and even taken into two different families. Wow, this 12-year-old, he does not think like a 12-year-old. Anyway, your fox is nothing. I have an owl on my window. You and your owl talk again. You said you believed me yesterday. Has anybody seen my car keys? I remember leaving them on the windowsill. Right. Maybe you did, and maybe not. You're a grown man, father of 2, and still. Karina, please stop. Just let me get ready in peace. Your keys are in the basket near the phone. Well, thank you very much. Anton, stop making a martyr out of yourself and finish eating already. And the owl. There's no owl. But there was one. It had giant glowing eyes. Olia sprung up from the chair and placed her hands on her little face, imitating a pair of eyes with her fingers, the size of an apple each. Last year you had Bye-bye. Bye-bye? Oh, crap, I want to... whatever. But I saw it! Olia shifted her gaze back and forth from Dad, to Mom, to me, but couldn't find any support. Have you thought about befriending it? You know, like feeding it with imaginary mice. Don't bully our girl. She's just afraid to sleep alone because she's still little. Olia pouted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase that led to the second floor creaked. Mom gave Dad a strict look. Oh, that look in her eyes. It's so uncomfortable to be pinned under it. Dad just snorted in reply and left, ringing with the keys he just found. A minute had passed, and the theme song from The Little Mermaid echoed through the house. It was stored on incredibly worn-out cassette tape, which Dad already had to glue together once. Excuse me, Anton, your issues are not why I'm yawning. It's so easy to fix objects by gluing them back together, for example. But how do you fix a relationship? How are you 12 years old? Mom moved to the living room, and I was left alone, anxiously stealing glances at the window. Oh, this is like the art style. This is amazing. Like, it is really well done. I love the art in this so far. Oya had trouble sleeping ever since we moved to this house. She would toss and turn, or curl up into a ball under her blanket. Sometimes she would jump up in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. For those of you who don't know what a VCR is, it's before DVDs and before Netflix. It's actually a tape they would put in and play the movie. I know, I used to have one. Cartoons helped to take her mind off of all the troubles we had with the move and our parents. I'm sorry. What? Ooh, hold on. Let me just jingle jangle my happy little Christmas buns over here real quick. Ooh, that is a nightmare right there. That right there. That should not. And then Oya said she saw that giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of these ridiculous fears. Oya refused to sleep alone and didn't believe that the owl was just one of her nightmares. After tonight, I was unsure of what to make of my sister's words, what to think of it myself. Can nightmares be infectious? Just last night, I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking of what to expect in my new school. There were a couple of days left before the beginning of the new term. My imagination drew long, twisting hallways that led to a classroom full of kids. Oh, they even have the creaking of the house. That's not cool. Ooh. But all the students behind their desks were simply dark figures. Oh, Freddie Mercury. Cut out using a template. Circular holes gaped in the middle of their faces, and pairs of eyes blinked inside those holes. It was as if some completely different creatures were looking at me from behind the flat, black silhouettes. Their cruel glares filled with icy sneers made me shiver from head to toe. Will I survive here? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down? Stomp on me with their bloodied shoes? God, this kid needs something more than... He needs to talk to somebody. Soon. The damn school can burn for all I care. I just wished for anything to happen to it. Doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see people who are just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of a new offensive name for me, worse than the previous ones. I felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider, or some sort of monster. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Oya begged me to hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. The small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings, and they promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagine Mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You've got the wrong number." Or, "Anton is not around. Anton is not around." I imagine my future classmates lying in their beds just like me, listening to the howls of invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all. But who would ever like a boy with thick glasses? I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little, and now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet, my mom. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. The condo we used to live in, a 9-floor concrete building, buzzed with the neighbor's drill, mumbled with a TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from the big family next door. Our current house, though I can't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent and easygoing during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners, on the closet cobwebs, and under the stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my deceased family, with their ashen eyes, were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaking. Rusty drains were moaning. The attic was occupied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some sort of demonic melody. And then I realized I was, in fact, hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Sounds nice. Somewhere at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. It was mixed in with the sound of the wind, of the creaking old house, and my thoughts, too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. It's not like someone is playing it there, amidst the cold, snowy night. Right? Ooh. Yes, please. Oh, interesting. That's kind of, looks like this is the music player right here. Neat. Someone was dancing in the field. Black silhouettes I could barely make out in the dark forest as their backdrop. They jumped around, basking in moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around and crawled on all fours. Stories about wolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. They stood upright at times, circled around holding hands and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment and then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. Shadows dancing in the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the same time. Oh, I just got goosebumps. Suddenly, the music stopped. The dancing shadows froze in place, and I could swear, pierced me with their eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from the bizarre shadow carnival and sprinted across the field with giant leaps. Ooh, no. It glided on squeaky snow without leaving any prints until it was devoured by the pitch-black shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around like the bird inside a cage. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back toward the bed. They saw me. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guest move and scrape around, looking for an entrance. The sound moved to the right, then circled around the house. Now, my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into the bed and covered myself with the blanket as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. I remembered the funeral, my grandma lying there, hands crossed on her chest, her facial features sharp, like that of a tin doll. Ants running up and down the legs of chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures climbing up her head and pulling up her eyelids with their tiny legs. Then, her wrinkled eyeballs would once again move inside their sockets, and she would be able to see her grandchildren. I was chanting the spell she taught me throughout the whole procedure. And now, lying under the blanket and listening to the squeaks and howls, I repeated the same words. Excuse me. On the island of Bile, underneath the blemished sun, in the sea of color blue, stands a cabin made of wood. There lay lard and ashen hair, for the spawn from devil's lair, to feast and always leave alone, God's faithful servant named Anton. Evil leave this house must. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sounds had disappeared. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains waving around like a hangman. And then the night doused me with a new portion of boiling terror. The sound scratched at my eardrums. In reality, something or someone were scratching at the front door, hurriedly clawing at wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. Dad, I don't like that. Dad had become very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remember him staring at the forest intently as if he were looking for someone. Ashes to ashes. Dust to dust. I hugged my knees, placing my chin between them, and drilled the floor with my eyes. It was so flimsy and so weak before the might of darkness. And then... oh, fuck, no, The doorknob twitched slightly. Ooh, yes, please. Then it turned halfway. Once. Twice. As if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob tilted once more. And then started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear. My wet fingers clutched the blanket. Oh, don't do that. No. If two eyeballs appear right here, I'm out. The door creaked open. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Now you'll see. Oh, are those eyes right there? I think those are eyeballs. Oh, is that a mouth? That's not cool. The door was wide open. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, the darkness withered inside the carnivorous mouth of the doorway. Tony. It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and squeaking with rusty hinges. I was trembling, ensnared by the web of darkness that hung in the corners of my room, waiting for the one who weaved it to come out of the gaping black hole. Tony. My abdomen tightened and my chest rose up, ready to exhale a desperate scream. But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me, Tony, you asleep? Oh, for fuck's sake. My sister's pale face protruded from the thick shadows. I almost screamed from relief. Olya? I'm not sleeping. Did something happen? Olya frowned and stuck out her lower lip, a clear sign she was about to cry. Oh, it's there again, staring at me. Shoo her away, Tony, please. I'm so scared. The fear that was tormenting me just a minute ago crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Olya down. It was just a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's going to harm you. Olya sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure myself? I have an idea. Let's go to your room and watch the video. Sleeping Beauty, for example. You like that cartoon, don't you? Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have this scary bird? That question took me by surprise. All right, let's watch Cinderella then. My thoughts became tangled, fuzzy. What was that? What studied me with its eyes while dancing feverishly under the moon? Oh no. The darkness was clinging to the window, and it couldn't be fooled by Grandma's old chants. I have goosebumps all over the goddamn place. It couldn't be satisfied with a feast of lard and long, ashen hair. Tony, you coming? Yes, just a moment. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, you got me. Oh. Ooh, that was cool. That was like almost like CG. That was really neat looking. That's why I didn't want to laugh at Olya and her owl in the morning. Yes, who is it? Who could be visiting us here in the middle of nowhere? We don't know anyone around here. Wow, they... so persistent. I felt extremely unsettled just from a silly thought that our morning guests could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. My mind was urging me to hide. In the closet, under the table, behind the curtains, where Olya always hides. Tony, come here. I felt like kettlebells were tied to my feet, but still dragged them toward the hallway. Oh, shtapopos. A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. They smelled like forest and worry. My mom always winced and grumbled the moment she saw patrol cars. Worse than bandits. At the moment, though, she looked somewhat confused. Hello? The senior officer who wore a grim expression nodded. A boy had gone missing yesterday. His name's Vova. Look at this, please. Have you seen him? The policeman held out a photograph to me. Oh. There was a ginger boy around the age of elementary school, pictured with a wall carpet as the backdrop. He had a striped cat in his hands and wore a wide smile. Oh, he did. Oh, he so did. No, I haven't. Are you sure? Look closely. Where would I see him? I don't know anyone around here. I barely leave the house.
I can relate to that.
Well,
maybe you've seen him from the window.
That's right. Your windows look straight at the forest, don't they? The window.
Oh,
no, I haven't seen anything.
I see.
He sounded tired, but his eyes, his stare, long, heavy, was full of suspicion. I squirmed unwittingly under the weight of guilt, which his giant shadow cast over me. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway, the stairway, and the...
Oh my god.
Sorry. And the cracks in the ceiling, which I haven't noticed before for some reason.
How do you like your new place, by the way? Getting used to it?
Bit by bit. It's our little daughter misses that... Oh, our little daughter misses the city a lot.
Misses the city, huh? Have the locals been treating you well?
Yes, everything is alright, thank you.
Oh. This is the face of a man who's seen some shit.
The policeman pierced through me one more time with his gray eyes. My head started to spin. Can I help you somehow? I asked that in a shaky voice to look like a polite boy, and to end this unpleasant conversation sooner.
Now that I think about it, you look just like one of my nephews, little fella. He's a witty boy around your age, wears the same type of goggles. Always engrossed in reading those mystery novels. Told me he wants to enroll in police school when his family visited this summer. Wanted to help the other people, just like me, see?
I felt uncomfortable, as if a distant relative, not a police officer, stood before me.
You know what? Little boys like you should stay at home. Steer away from the trouble. Times have changed so much.
Mom interjected in a cold voice. You don't say.
Ah, well then. What grade are you in, Tony boy?
6th.
Have you made any friends here so far?
Not yet. I'll be going to school for the first time after the break.
Ah, then I'll leave you my number just in case. Call me if you have any new info. Thing burst through my door last night. You want info on that?
The policemen were gone, along with their shadows, the smell of cheap cologne, and the photo of the smiling boy.
Ooh.
His face still stood before my eyes. I wondered what it was like for him, being all alone there. For some reason, I thought the forest swaying in the wind. What did his poor parents feel? And what would my parents do if I'd gone missing? Would they cry and thrash around hysterically? Or would they accuse each other like they always do and forget about me eventually? Mom, this Vova, did he go missing in our forest? Seems like it, poor child.
I looked out the window at the road. The police UAZ drove off toward the village. The officer's nephew came to mind when I was splitting off old paint on the windowsill. I remember all the teenage mystery novels from the Black Kitty series I've read this summer. Your average boys and girls investigating all sorts of mysteries there. They looked for clues, spied on suspicious people, and after a set of amazing adventures, bam! Solved any complicated case. They became local celebrities and must have made their parents very proud. I noticed a trail of policemen's footprints that led to the forest. Oh, Anton, and then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start an investigation of my own? Maybe I'll find that lost boy, and I'll get a reward.
Olya will be so happy.
And not only Olya, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'll even forget about their quarrels for a while. Maybe I'll even save us from the D word. Oh, I fantasize about buying Olya a Tamagotchi and getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself. And a whole box of Kinder Surprise. And I ran so far away. I opened the front gate and went into the field. Oh, this is such a bad idea, dude. Carefully, so Mom wouldn't see me from the front window. When I crossed half of the distance toward the forest, the snow piles became as high as my knees. I remembered my nightly fears. I saw silhouettes, those silhouettes around here. They were jumping around, holding hands. That hypnotizing music started playing in my head all on its own. In the light of the day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, but the aftertaste was still there, distant, ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me, and a barely audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. Dude, don't do this. What the hell is wrong with you? Everything was silent. So silent, I felt like the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Olya. The time reached its limit, a one-way trip that ended at the forest's piney stockade. Sometimes silence was much scarier than any scream. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing, and both me and Olya turned to stone, listening to them. But then, always came the ringing silence. Our apartment became numb a couple of days before we departed. That was weird. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing, or spent time together, almost like all of it was in a previous life. When they kissed with Olya present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. But one day, it all changed. Something important had left our home, and something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if a fire broke up, and our parents were hurriedly packing our belongings, trying to save themselves. And us. From who, though? From the people with dead cold... I heard that with dead cold eyes, who sometimes visited us in our previous home. Don't do this. The eyes that only saw balls of worms on the black ground and everything. And somewhere far away, a siren was going off, trying to warn us of the coming menace. Oh, God, I love the way this looks. I shuddered, chasing away my dilute. The hell was that? Okay, sure. Scare the living piss shit out of me, Jesus. There were only me, this white field, and the wind that was whipping up icy dust and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Knobby tree roots slithered under the snow like fat snakes. Rotten leaves and coniferous needles froze into the ice. Dry, prickling branches intertwined. I'm having issues here. Bringing up comfortable thoughts about fences. Were they protecting the forest? Or were they keeping something from breaking out? Some object was hanging from one of the pointy branches. I tried to get closer, drowning in the snow, and when I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. Oh, dude. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungering semi-dark. Should I take it to the police? Their senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Casanova from my favorite TV show called The Streets of Broken Lights. He was also always anxious, with a tired look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Will this mitten help them find the lost boy? Vova! I heard a distant shout. Looked like it came from the river. Vova! As if the trees were calling out to someone. Vova! Resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there behind the trees, hiding. Vova! I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still, something was unsettling about that figure. Where's the figure? Its stillness, how it was bent unnaturally toward the ground. Where? Its blackness. Where? There's no one there, just branches and roots. It's all just my imagination. A nearby bird flapped its wings loudly. A shadow split from the tree and disappeared from my sight. It looked away. I looked away for just a moment, but when I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So it was my imagination after all. Silence reigned for a painfully long time. All kinds of goosebumps. My muscles were tightly sprung. My heart was beating somewhere in my throat. I seen those footprints. Any noise, any little movement, any small whisper from the thicket, and I'd sprint. But nothing of the sort happened. Yeah, it looks like you just pissed yourself, dude. I would have been shitting my pants there, too. I looked at the mitten once more. No, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take this mitten. I decided to take the lonely mitten from the branch. I saw that. Vova! A shout rumbled across the field and dissolved into the distance. No echo. No hope for a reply. Can I take it now? Oh. I stepped toward the bristly trees and tried to claim my find. I didn't budge. I pulled harder and the branch cracked and the mitten tore off, landing in my hand with a squishy sound. All too heavy, wet. I squeezed it without thinking and something dark spilled from it, forming a tiny string between the mitten and the snow. Steam rose from the snow pile. Someone took a poop in that mitten. I froze in place, studying my palms in disgust. Dude, there's shit running in the trees. Grab the mitten and go. Red. The sound of cracking branches invaded the silence. I didn't have to think twice before running away. Yeah, someone was chasing me from the darkness, breaking pine branches, closing the distance in giant leaps. Snow was slowing me down. Crazy thoughts flew from my mind. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I'll get dragged into the thicket. I'll be gone forever. But there was one more voice, probably one of reason. It gave me strength and spurred me on. You can do it. Don't stop. I heard an animal roar behind me. It was so loud my ears went numb. Oh, desperation.
I felt like the sound had come from a pack of hungry beasts rather than a single one. Their nostrils sucked in freezing air. They sensed my fear. 2 giant wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing. A hoot. A wheeze. The roars were coming from all directions now. From the dried up raspberry bush to the twisted pines from under the windfall. Hurry, run, don't look back. It felt like I was inside a nightmare. The snowy clearing became viscous like quicksand. I was stuck in place. I pulled my leg from the mushy trap just to be caught by a new one, even deeper than before. I continued to drown, sinking deeper and deeper with every desperate push. Was snow ever this sticky? I screamed in horror after realizing this wasn't snow. Someone or something in the snow pile was clutching my pants. I gathered my strength and rushed forward. The pressure on my leg was gone. My boots slipped out from the hole. My soles were on a hard surface again. I reached a clear path with one jump and from there ran to my house. Its gloomy facade didn't look threatening now. The house was my line of defense from the shadows that flapped their wings and the creatures that were hidden under the snow. I tripped over the doorstep and smashed into the door. In all my hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks, as if a dog was striking the wood with its paws, demanding to be let in so it could escape the cold. I hadn't noticed these marks when I was leaving. The heartbeat in my ears was much louder than my surroundings. I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already in our front yard and Mom had locked the door? Drowning in fear, I pulled on the doorknob and it obediently gave way. Ooh! I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. Porch planks creaked as my pursuers ascended the stairs. My fingers slipped off the lock and I couldn't click it into place. I gritted my teeth and pulled hard on the iron knob, whipping it between the boards. I stared blankly at the door. Someone was standing on the other side of the pitiful, flimsy barrier that was probably less useful than blankets. Wheezing, breath reached into the house and crashed at me in waves. It smelled of pine and sweat. Mom peeked out of the kitchen and chastised me with the same frigid voice she always used when talking to Dad. What exactly didn't you understand when I told you never to slam the door? I didn't mean to. I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone. The breath was too. If there was someone in the first place, of course. Here, mere 5 meters away from Mom, my fear was slowly weakening, melting like snow in spring. And with it, the last bit of strength I had left in my body, too. My legs gave way. I propped myself up against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. Mom's expression had changed immediately. The cold mask of strictness and detachment was gone. Mom looked at the same as before all those quarrels. She finally saw my condition. My wet pants, plastered with snow. Where have you been? What did I tell you, huh? I told you to stay home. Am I nothing to you? I got afraid she would cry. I reached out to her like when I was very little and wanted to cuddle me. But Mom regained her composure fast and put on her usual face. Her eyes shined like steel. Her voice rang out. Your dad can't find his cigarettes. Be honest, did you snatch them? Were you smoking in secret? There was someone chasing me. I thought... I stuttered as soon as I started explaining myself, tears welling up in my eyes. Mom leaned forward
all leaned toward me and sniffed my clothes like a beast searching for the smell of tobacco. Then she squinted her eyes in suspicion and looked into the front yard. Her expression changed in an instant and she covered her mouth with her hand. "Look over there, at the fence." My heart started thumping as if I became prey once again and my pursuers were following me in the field. I could swear that I've heard something scratching at the door, just like in my nightmare. Mom beckoned me with her finger and I gathered all my remaining bravery to look into the kitchen window facing my fear. Yeah, no, that was not them. I could barely discern some hairy silhouettes swimming in snow through the icy winter patterns on the glass. Dogs? Just a small pack of strays with no name and owner. Barely reminded me of the hungry monsters that lived on the edge of the forest. Oh boy, were you scared of them? I think they'd rather be scared of you, Anton. They were chasing me like a bunny. And what if they're rabid? The smile had slowly disappeared from Mom's face. Now she looked at the dogs as if it was her first time seeing them. What if they attack Olya? Mom? I wish your dad could just shoot them all. Mom, look, they're alive. Huh? What? Are they your friend or foe after all? Make up your mind. You're not a little kid anymore. Mom sighed in annoyance, and I felt so bitter that I bit my lower lip and fixed my gaze on the cobweb-ridden corner. Well, some detective I am. In reality, I wasn't risking my life among monsters, but rather my pants among a pack of stupid strays. And what for? What use do I have for this? Mitten? Of course! A dark and sticky mitten that belonged to the lost boy made a squishy sound in my hand. Seems like I was clutching it the whole time. That's my trump card as a detective. I hurried to present the clue to my mom. Mom, look. This is Volva's mitten. That boy the police were asking about in the morning. It's drenched in blood. I found it hanging on a tree. I can show where. Let's call the police right away, like the officer had told us to. Mom, look. Ew. A shadow of doubt slowly crept onto Mom's contorted face, as if she were trying to remember something distant, like someone tries to remember their dream, but the image slips away. Stop at this moment. Olya will go insane if she hears you. She already has trouble sleeping and whines all the time. And you joke around like this? At the moment, I realized the mitten was actually wet from the snow. There was no blood whatsoever. I wanted to sink through the floor from embarrassment. Come here, my boy, who cried Wolf. Oh, don't just stand there. Come take your pills. A golden-colored pill reminiscent of a dead wasp fell into my palm. I already took one during breakfast. Don't talk over me. I told you to stay home, and you... Dad would have given you a good whooping for that. Come on, take it, or you won't be able to get to sleep at night. You have school tomorrow. So I had to swallow the bitter medicine, drinking it down with similarly awful water that gave off a taste of chlorine. Maybe it wasn't Volva's mitten. Maybe it wasn't a mitten at all. Just like the forest monsters and Olya's owl. Am I going mad? What's happening to me? Either the pill had an immediate effect, or my overexerted brain didn't let the fear inside anymore. Serenity washed over me, bringing yawny indifference along with it. Anton, you done? See, you can do it when you try. Take off your coat. Are you sleepy? No, Mom. I was just thinking. What about, I wonder? It's just something silly. Mom scrutinized me with suspicious eyes, as if she wasn't sure she was looking at her own son, and not some doppelganger that came from the forest. Is everything all right? You had the exact same expression when the policeman asked you about the window. I'm all right, Mom. She heaved a deep sigh. Fine. Seemed like the house had changed. The sofa's fabric had become discolored,
Fingerprints appeared on the bathroom tiles. The light bulbs also felt different, dimmer and yellower. Even the saliva inside my mouth had a different taste. A melody from Aladdin could be heard from the upper floor. Olia was done rewatching her favorite Little Mermaid episodes and switched to other tapes. I slowly changed into my home clothes, stopped before the sink, and studied my reflection in the mirror, like I was trying to solve one of those spot the difference puzzles. Interesting. Then I went upstairs. Jafar and Iago's voices died down. I walked past Olia's room, Olia's bedroom, and slipped into my own. One of the drawers was empty. I hid the mitten there. This simple action drained the last bit of my strength. I sat on the bed, and only then did I notice there was someone behind the curtains. My tired hand dropped to the sheets. Whether it was due to medication I took or the stress I underwent, the room began to contour as if the wind was blowing the walls out like a pair of sails. The room's corners bent and undulated. The only stable thing in the whole room was a figure between the windowsill and the curtain. A flimsy piece of cloth was stuck to my hidden visitor, just like a savant of sorts. Olia? Who else would be standing there? I stood up and licked my dry lips. Yeah, Olia, it's not so funny. Silhouette was unmoving. It was enveloped softly by the curtains, as if there were a thick layer of darkness there, not a human being. I reached toward the curtains. Bottom, beat my heart, controlled by medication. The wind sang in the field with a chorus of voices. For a second, I wanted to return to the bed and just lie down and watch the person behind the curtain, knowing full well they were looking back at me. They're looking without blinking, waiting for me to fall asleep. Plastic rings rustled against the holder when I pulled the curtain open. Gotcha! I knew it was you from the beginning. A blindingly bright halo lit up above Olia's head with the settled sun as the background. My sister was shining. When she was just a baby, Dad always used to say she was a shining with happiness. I always retorted, but Dad, she's not some flashlight. And I brought her to the window one day, and sunlight poured on her smiling face. I felt like I was holding a child woven from light. I saw everything. Oh, really? What did you hide? She was just like my mom when she was little, before she put on her sad mask of tiredness and switched to her commanding tone of voice. It's nothing, just... Olia ran up to the table, her eyes round, and asked, You stole something and hid it there? Are you a thief? What? Don't be stupid. I didn't steal anything. A clear image came to mind, that mitten hanging from a tree branch. What if I did steal it after all? From the forest? From the tilted figure standing behind the black trees? Oya could be selfish and stubborn when she wanted. Then show me. Swear that you won't tell anyone? Then I'll show you. Olia wore a plotting smile. I swear on Mom's heart. An oath she heard in one of the movies about the pioneers we watched. Don't say things like that. Olia nodded and made a gesture with her hand, locking her mouth with an imaginary key. She was filled with curiosity that was splashing in her giant eyes. I opened the drawer and Olia leaned in, holding her breath. It looked like there was not just a simple mitten, but some sort of exotic critter. Is this someone's mitten? She said that as if she couldn't understand what she saw. A certain boy lost it. and got lost himself. Now do you understand how dangerous it is for kids to wander into the forest, right? He must be really cold out there. Will they find him? They will. The police are going house to house, showing his photo to everybody. Olya traversed the room with care and pressed her tiny palms against the window. And why are they going to the houses and not the forest? Are they scared? The question caught me off guard. The police aren't scared of anything. Yeah, right, flashed in my clouded mind. Did they really check every nook and cranny where darkness, cold, and whispers of icy branches dwell? If that's the case, how did they miss the mitten? Or did it appear later? For me. I changed the topic, as if trying to get Olya as far away as possible from the forest thicket. We may get a reward if I go and find this boy myself. A lot of stuff like in Field of Wonders. Sounds cool, right? Olya wasn't listening to me. She was piercing the forest with incredible adult eyes, uncharacteristic for her. What if the owl got him? Nonsense, an owl won't be able to lift a human. But you know what? I was picking my words with utmost care. I forced them out of my overexerted brain. Stay away from the forest. I think it's... How should I put it? It's cursed or something. Just like in a fairy tale? No, not like that. More like in that spooky tape Mom and Dad are hiding from us. Olya shivered and stole a glance at the window. I saw you running away. Someone was chasing you? No, it's just... I was hurrying back home so Mom wouldn't be worried. As I looked at my sister, my heart was tearing apart. She was so fragile. It was so easy to stifle her light. A gust of wind, and her small fire would be gone. You're lucky. Mom won't even let me go outside. I'm like a princess in a tower. Can't go anywhere. I'll die from boredom here. You're wrong. No one has ever died of boredom. And you have me and your cartoons, and Mom and Dad will be good to each other soon. You know what I would wish for on my next birthday? I'd wish for Mom and Dad to turn into children so we can go and play together like we used to. Yeah, and if you make them as small as bugs, we could place them into a little box. Olya giggled and tugged at my sleeve. Tony, let's go watch Aladdin. Fatigue won over my desire to be with my little sister. I was washed over with some sort of heinous apathy. Too tired, I don't want to. Come on. It's so boring alone, and Mom is always busy. We can pick a cartoon you haven't seen before. I know all of our tapes by heart at this point. Not all of them. You haven't watched Peter Pan. Remember how you always fall asleep in the middle of it? And so much happens after that. Let's go. Maybe a bit later. Should I tell you how it ends? Let's leave that for tomorrow. I won't tell you tomorrow. I know. Let's play hide and seek. No, Olya. Then draw me a dino. Olya, please. Draw it. Will you leave me alone already? I blurted it out without thinking. And then I was immediately taken back. I never screamed at my little sister like that. Olya stared at me in shock. Her lips started trembling, a precursor to tears. My chest was seething with disgust and embarrassment. What's happening to me? I hurried to prevent Olya from crying. All right, you win. Let's go watch cartoons for a bit. I don't wanna. I came up to her, put my hand on her soft head. Let's go. Let's go watch Peter Pan. Boo, you fall asleep again. I smiled and lifted her chin. Her eyes were wet and felt bottomless. I promise I won't. And I'll draw you a full Triceratops later. Hooray! Triceratops. Well, it's close enough. Olya rubbed her eyes with the sleeve of her pajamas, and a shining smile returned to her face. I'll go ask Mom for condensed milk and bread, and you'll rewind the tape. The bread is fresh, just how you like it. All right, just be careful not to spill the milk, or you'll get yelled at again.
Want to bet I won't spill it? The tape is somewhere in the nightstand. Look for it. Olya disappeared into the doorway, and I dragged my feet into the neighboring room. Oh, the puppers! Scary window where Olya sees that accursed owl every night lurking in the dark. Olya keeps curtains open during the day, but as soon as the night twilight comes, she shuts them tight, so she wouldn't see the pair of hungry eyes outside. The old photon TV was gathering dust in the corner. All that was left was clicking the button to the front panel. Jesus Christ. Like, I really am. I truly am finding this interesting. I really, really do. I'm just exhausted. Oh, I think this was actually that one that we had. The tube warmed up. A familiar white noise started dancing on the black screen. Come on. I almost reached out to turn on the VCR when the noise calmed down and a blurry image appeared for a moment. Oh, fuck. It was a dark taiga forest, just like the one outside my window. The picture split the screen in half. Something creepy resembling human speech was coming out of the speaker. No! Oh no. Oh god. Just a moments later, the scenery was again overshadowed by noise. Did it catch some rogue signal? Local TV station only really showed Soviet cartoons, and even that was pretty rare. And only just recently I used to always watch Robotech before school. It was so awesome. Maybe I should tinker with the antenna. What if I catch the channel again? On the other hand, Olya asked me to find the tape. It wouldn't be nice to disappoint her, but in my sleepy state I didn't have strength to do all of it. Okay, so you know what? No, I could search for the tape, or I can do that. I'm gonna search for the signal again. Olya can grab the tape. I mean, I could just be like, oh, I was on I think I want to go look for the tape now. The picture finally cleared up, but at the moment I rejoiced at finding that weird signal again. The TV started coughing, a voice barely coming through the cacophony. He was often seen at the moment when small snowy hills were lined up on the screen, pierced with rickety crosses, and a male voice was narrating with slow, mournful voice. It was a pitch-black night at the cemetery. In that faithful dark time, little Senya met her fate at the face of a monstrous thicket dweller. The locals call him none other than the Forest Master. I froze, and I did my best not to move, as if by doing that could scare away the narrator. I listened closely to his every word. The beast dealt with the helpless girl in a masterful manner. The camera panned across the snow with something black spilled over it, looking for ragged pieces of cloth that were thrown around all over the place. I didn't want to think whether Senya's remains were wrapped in there, so I shut my eyes without thinking. Oh, I seen a hand. Oh, there was a hand right there. The voice continued. Wolves are rare guests in these parts. Here's what Tamara, the old woman that lives in a nearby crypt, had to say.
A close-up shot of the face of an old, homeless woman, weary from life and alcohol abuse, rattled on the screen. Yes, yes, such a fearsome beastie it was, worse than the rising dead. The old woman splattered saliva all over the rectangular mic. Oh, he was right there. And the stink, it's like... The rest of her comparison was swallowed up by the sound of a horn. I've never felt anything like that. It was just standing there, yes, right where you stand, boyo, and pierced me with its eyes right in the middle of the day. It was so huge, that one, with glassy eyes. Obscenities were covered by another beep. You know, they say if this demon lays its eyes on you, it'll snatch you, put you into his bag, and you're done. But he won't touch me. Likes me, it seems. So they even call me the devil's wench. And it's definitely true. The carnivorous monster will not touch those who fell to the level of the forest beasts, going for the innocent child's blood instead. The forest master's presence is felt more and more on the outskirts of the country. Torn between believing in what was said and shrugging it away, I decided to record the remaining part of the documentary for some reason. Oh, I thought that was a narrator. Oops. I quickly grabbed the tape that was on top of the TV and put it into the VCR without even looking at the cover. Oh, you're gonna record over Peter Pan. I pressed record, turned the sound up, and paid attention to the slipping signal. It's not called the Forest Master for nothing. All of the animals obey it, be they hairy or feathered. They're all precursors for its appearance. If you hear howls in the distance, then it most likely already knows where you live. If you find animal prints all over your doorstep and birds watching you from the trees, you'd better hide. It's already coming for you. And if you wake up at night and see a pair of eyes in your window, then soon, soon, soon. The TV suddenly went mad and looped the last word over and over, piercing my ears. Oh, I got goosebumps too. I got goosebumps all over my spine. The tape ended and was rewinding to the beginning. The sound of rustling tape reminded me of leaves in the wind and the low howl of a beast. I woke up from my stupor and pressed the button. The VCR ejected the tape. For a moment, I thought I was stained with saliva, but that was just the light from the chandelier making the black plastic glossy. And then I saw the cover. Oops. I recorded over Peter Pan. That's what I get for hurrying. It was bad enough that I ruined Olia's cartoon, but I also put this creepy stuff over it. I can't let her see this. We'll drown in tears. I snuck a glance at the door. I could hear the clatter of glass and the squeaky floorboards. Olia appeared in the doorway. You haven't started without me, have you? My sister brought the tray with unevenly cut bread and a whole can of condensed milk. No. I was looking for the tape. Do you really want to watch Peter Pan? I do. Turn it on already. Mom will come watch her Brazilian drama soon. Come on, think. Fake detective. You know, I didn't like Peter Pan. Maybe we should watch The Little Mermaid instead. I've already seen it so many times. And you promised me.
She's so stubborn. I know. Let's watch a couple of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle episodes first. Deal? Olya frowned, but ultimately gave up. She put down the tray and crossed her hands on her chest. If you want it so much, can you open the milk can? I'm afraid I'll cut myself with the sharp edges. As soon as I stood up, colorful dots popped up before my eyes, and my sore legs were pierced by thousands of needles. Only when I reached the sofa, I realized the can was already open. Olya had tricked me for a fool. My stomach became heavy. I wanted to rush toward the TV, but my little sister was faster. She picked up the remote and proclaimed in a victorious tone, "Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. As the remote's master, I command you to watch Peter Pan." I couldn't even open my mouth, and the VCR had already eaten the cursed tape. She'll play it, and then black crosses on unnamed graves, empty crypts, bloody scraps on the floor, on the snow, and the insane devil's wench. I'd better tell the truth. Olya, stop. I erased the end of your tape by accident. I'll trade it with you for 2 of mine. What do you mean? You couldn't erase it. Me and Dad broke off all those plastic pins with a screwdriver. You can't record anything over my cartoons now. My little sister pressed the triangle play button on the remote. I squeezed on the inside, waiting the out of this world voice of the narrator. But I saw the duel between Peter Pan and Captain Hook instead. I sighed in relief, my head, heavy as a leaden ball, now resting in my hands. Olya smiled in joy. She put the tape on rewind and started spreading milk over her bread. And then the cartoon started. She forgot about everything in the world. As if she really got transported to the Neverland, like she always wished. To be honest, I also imagined myself there, in a land where one never ages, where no one argues over little things, where no one listens to fights and the sound of broken plates at night. But now Peter Pan's land was especially far away from me. My thoughts dragged on, stumbling up the horned beast that awaited me among the trees. And the narrator's mournful voice haunted me, sliding over bushes and ravines, like a winged carnivore would track its prey. It felt like I was dreaming with my eyes still open. Then my sister's scream pulled me back to reality. "Tony, shut the curtains! Fast!" "Why? No one's watching you." "It's dark, and when it's dark, the owl comes. I'm scared." I got out of bed, fighting my drowsiness, and closed the curtains. I did my best not to look outside toward the treetops, toward the taiga forest, which seemingly drew closer and closer. Of course, it was just a visual effect from shadows and branches of the scraping snow. "Tony, Mom thinks I made up the owl, and Dad too thinks I'm a liar since I'm small. But the owl exists. Honestly, it does. You do believe me, right? That it comes every night and... I swiftly grabbed Olya's hand and looked her in the eyes. I was trying to transfer at least some of my courage and determination. But did I really have those qualities? Yes. I believe you. Just don't nag our parents about it anymore. They're already dealing with a lot, so they'll just get mad at you. Come and tell me if anything happens, and don't look out the window." "But it wants me to look." "Doesn't matter. Act like it doesn't exist and never existed, like it's made up, just like Mom and Dad say. It'll get tired of waiting and fly away." And then she was never seen again. It was madness, but after everything that's happened recently, I was more and more inclined to believe Olya's owl existed. We followed Peter Pan's adventure as if nothing had happened, as if the forest didn't kidnap kids, as if our parents weren't tearing each other apart bit by bit. Captain Hook was running away from a crocodile. Captain Pan was heading to London on a gilded sailboat. By some miracle, I lasted longer than my little sister. Olya's eyelids had dropped. She started snoring lightly, resting her chin on the side of the bed. The chorus was singing the ending song, and the world of Disney was lit up by a silvery moon. Another moon peeked from under the first one, scary and wan, hanging over the taiga forest. The horrific report got recorded right over the credits. My throat went dry. My pulse became faster. I looked toward Olya. She smacked her lips in her sleep. I squeezed the remote with all my might, ready to press stop any moment. I rewound the recording, checked if it was intact, and then carefully took out the tape. The protective pin was still in place. I stood up and left Olya's room. Whether it was by providence or by curse, I hid the tape alongside the mitten at the exact moment Mom peeked into my room. Enough playing around. It's your first day at school tomorrow. Go to bed, you should sleep properly. You don't want to be teased for being sleepy, right? Adults think everything is so simple. As if the sound sleep would ensure my classmates would like me. I covered with my blanket up to my neck and listened to the house humming, to something invisible rustling in the corners. My inner voice had a question for me. Do I want to hear that mysterious flute again? Yes or no? Maybe it's just part of the growing up, and I can't fully understand my own desires. The forest wailed behind the barrier that was my walls. Something ethereal, entity wandered the fields. Branches shook as if calling for me. The wind howled on in the night. My thoughts were like annoying flies that entered my head before becoming weak and tangled. I didn't notice how I fell into slumber. Oh, come on, really? Thank you for completing episode 1 of Tiny Bunny. Oh my god, I did enjoy it. Okay, so apparently this is one of 5 chapters in this, and I am definitely going to be looking forward to more of this. This was freaking oh, the owl's there. I don't remember if the owl was there in the beginning, but this was friggin' amazing. I loved it. Oh my god, that was great. Even the art, like the art style, the storytelling, how creepy it was. Oh, it's perfect. Like 10 out of 10 in my book for an indie game. That was, it's like mwah, perfect. So with that being said, and this being over, I hope you enjoyed our episode 1 of Tiny Bunny. And remember, keep your windows locked and your curtains closed. And I'll be sitting here wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. And I will see you all in the next video.